All right, this defeating Adventism is just a joy. It was a joy to put together and to research and to do. And I think you'll find it all very interesting. My Adventist friends, I know my non and former Adventist friends know this Ellen White prophecy well. And that is, these stars fell from heaven. Revelation 6:13, Matthew 24:29. And we are going to look at a number of things. We're going to look at a number of Advent Review and Herald magazines, which you're going to see here on screen in a minute. We're going to look at, of course, my ever-present 1888 version of the Great Controversy. So we are going to examine what happened November 13th, 1833. Significant date in the Adventist timeline, as you're going to see the timeline at the end of the video. Because what does our dear prophet of the Adventist Church tell us? Because she tells us in here that the stars fell, and that fulfilled the prophecy in Revelation 6:13 and Matthew 24:29. So we have fulfilled Bible prophecy because of an observable event from November 13th of 1833. So let's look at Adventist literature a little more on this. We're going to start here with this Review and Herald, June 13th, 1935, page 4. And what's it say? The greatest meteor shower of which there is any record took place in 1833. So there it is. And we are now going to jump to Ellen White's Great Controversy, 1888. There it is. You've seen it many times if you watch my videos. We're going to look at page 333 here. We're at the very top. The stars shall fall from heaven. You can look at the footnote 1. Look at the bottom of the screen. There it is, Matthew 24:29. You see Revelation 6:13 there. The stars shall fall from heaven. And what does Ellen White say? She says what? This prophecy received a striking and impressive fulfillment in the greatest meteor shower of November 13th, 1833. The greatest shower, she says. Then she goes on to say, that was the most extensive and wonderful display of falling stars which has ever been recorded. Now, keep in mind that this Great Controversy book here of Ellen White's is supposed to be from God. There's air quotes again, God. So this God that, or Lord, that she's talking to, gave her this book. Now, I know I've said it in a couple other videos. It just bears repeating. So let's look on screen here. Spiritual Gifts, Volume 2. You can see we're looking from pages 266 to 271, where she's talking about getting the vision of receiving the Great Controversy. At the very top, in the spring, it's right, started in 1858. She's visiting Ohio. Lovett's Grove, the Lord met her. Go to the next section there, right underneath the page number of 266. It says what? I was wrapped in a vision of God's glory. There it is. And what did that vision give us? Go to the bottom of the screen. In this vision, at Lovett's Grove, most of the matter, it's interesting she said that, now that I'm reading this, most, not all, but most. Most of the matter of the Great Controversy, which I had seen 10 years before, was repeated, and I was shown that I must write it out. And write it out she did. And we have of course, now the very first Great Controversy was the 1858 edition, which is right here. Isn't it interesting to look at the 1858 and the 1888? You know, I am a graduate of the public school system. But even then, I can say, I think the 1888 edition has more words than the 1858. By the way, there's a video coming out on this 1858 edition soon, which will be very entertaining. But anyway, I digress. Let's go back to November 13th, 1833. So this supposed book she got from her supposed God, with a small g, I'm going to say, tells us it's the greatest meteor shower ever recorded, fulfills Bible prophecy, Revelation 6:13, Matthew 24:29. Well, let's examine what happened on November 13th, 1833. So as we start looking at what happened in November of 1833, let's be reminded again of the Bible verses that we just saw in the Great Controversy in the footnote that said this event was a fulfillment of. Here's Revelation 6:13. The point is what? The stars of the sky fell to the earth. What fell to the earth? The stars. Matthew 24:29 says what? The stars will fall from heaven. There it is. That's what Ellen White was telling us in her inspired book that, we just saw she got from 1858. The stars fall from heaven. Fulfilled these two Bible verses you see in front of you on the screen right now. So, but you know what? Something really did happen on November 13th of 1833, and you can even see in this very old rendition drawing. Just look closely at it. You see the lady standing in front of the door on the right-hand side of the screens. Her hands are, clasped, almost in a praying fashion near her chest. Everyone's looking up, and you see the streaks in the sky. And it's true. Something really did happen on November 13th, 1833. What happened? Well, let's go to NASA. I like going to NASA. 1833. It's called look at me here on the left. It's called a Leonid storm. So at the very top it says what? The storm that very year was very intense, and the event led to the first formation of a theory on the origin of meteors. So something really did happen, and it really was very spectacular. And in this, and here's my source right here from NASA on Leonid storms. And if I'm saying it wrong, y'all can correct me. That's good. And you can see the accounts here that of people who witnessed it on recorded on this NASA website. So, okay, what is a meteor, by the way? A meteors are what? Meteors are better known as shooting stars. They're startling streaks of light that suddenly appear in the sky when a dust particle from outer space evaporates high in the Earth's atmosphere. So we call this light phenomenon in the atmosphere a meteor. A dust particle is called a meteoroid. What about meteors? How big are they? What's it say? Most visible meteors are between 1 millimeter and 1 centimeter in diameter. What does the Bible say again in Revelation 6:13? What's going to fall from the sky? It says stars, doesn't it? If you hold out your hand right now, I could drop 10 1-centimeter objects. 1 centimeter. That's about the size of a child's marble. A toy, circular, orbital marble. I could put 10 of those in your hand easily. Well, Revelation 6:13 says what? The stars are going to fall from the sky. Ellen White said that Bible prophecy was fulfilled. Stars fell from the sky. Meteors fell from the sky. You can hold 10 stars in your hand? Really? You could probably hold 100,000 1-millimeter grains of sand in your hand. Are those stars? Well, let's keep going. So, where do meteors come from? Meteors are caused by, what's it say? The debris of comets. Meteors are comet junk. The stuff that flies off of a comet as it's zipping around our atmosphere. How the meteoroids leave the comet, they say, well, that's a matter of research. But when comets approach the sun, because they got ice, it evaporates. Dust particles are then ejected into orbit, and they fall to the earth. They're real tiny. 1 millimeter to 1 centimeter. And they hit the ground, or they don't even hit the ground. They burn up. That's why we see the lights in our atmosphere. Well, you know what happened after 1833? 33 years later, they said, you know what? We know what happened in 1833. It's a result of a comet. And this comet here, these two scientists, Temple and Tuttle, discovered that very comet that caused November 13th, 1833. They discovered it in 1866. And you know what else they learned about the comet? Well, I'm jumping ahead. Here's a real recent, I think within, I want to say within 15 years, screenshot from a local NBC National Broadcasting Corporation affiliate talking about this exact same meteor
was going to be passing by the Earth again, and they're showing it. And they're showing here's the meteor, here's the debris trail that's following the meteor, and you know what else they learned about that and that comet? It's a comet, the Tempel-Tuttle comet. Is it passes the Earth every 33.17 years. So what happened in 1833 is not new. It's still going on, and it went on in history. And let me see what else I put here. All right. You can look at these dates here that I got on the right-hand side, 1902, 1630, 1799. These are other times. You can go back to that NASA website where this very same meteor was recorded in history by the Arabs, by medieval European scientists. But of course, more recently, as we got our observing telescopes, etc., and we can look deeper into space, you're going to see much more frequency. But there it is. This is not a one-time event. This happens every 33 and a third years. Now, remember what Ellen White said. It's the greatest thing that ever happened. But we got to ask this question now. Are meteors and stars the same thing? No, they aren't. Matthew 24, Revelation 6:13 says the stars are going to fall from heaven. It doesn't say the meteors are going to fall from heaven. It says the stars. It doesn't say that space junk from comets are going to fall from heaven. It says stars. Meteors are not stars. Stars are completely different. What is a star? It's a ball of gas, and hydrogen and helium has its own gravitational force. Stars aren't flying around making shooting stars with spectacular displays. A meteor is clearly not a star. So, the meteor shower on November 13th, 1833, you know what? The stars didn't fall from the sky. Meteors did. So Ellen White, in her supposed revelation she got in 1858 at Lovett's Grove from, air quotes again, God, got it wrong. The stars didn't fall from the sky. Meteors fell from the sky. Let's look at another aspect of this. Because remember what they said. Now, we haven't looked at this one yet, but let's look at this. The night of November 13th, 1833, it says, witness by far the greatest display of falling stars or meteors. All right, witness by far the greatest falling stars or meteors. And you know what? It was the greatest meteor shower until 1966. What happened in 1965, the comet was rediscovered. It was lost for a while. But here's what they say after they rediscovered it. They knew the event was coming in 1966. And what they say about this November 17, 1966 event, they say this display probably rivaled the historic showers of 1799 and 1833. Here's why they say probably. When I was doing my research, there's one huge key difference between 1833 and 1966, and that is electricity. In 1833, you did not have streetlights and big corporate city skyscrapers lighting up the skyline. In 1833, the skyline, the heavens, were indeed dark. There was no artificial light obscuring what was taking place. By 1966, we had skyscrapers and streetlights and car lights and all kinds of lights obscuring the skyline. Scientists realized that what they were seeing in 1966 was being dulled because of all the man-made light. That's why they say that it was probably rivaled, because, as you're going to see later, they realized that it indeed was greater than 1833. But just visually, then, that's why they said what they said. Okay, so what happens? We get the 1965 comet, and the Seventh-day Adventists wait until 1985 to directly address the issue. You're going to see this column boxed in red on the next slide, broken up into two pieces so we can easily read it here. Here it is. So what's it say? Time, magazine, November 18, 1966, explains the Leonid shooting star showers. The 1833 rate is 10,000 meteors per hour. 1 week later, Time magazine, also in 1966, is talking about the 1966 comet that they found again in 1965. Of that 1966 comet, look at the bottom, look what they said. The meteors were falling at a rate of 140,000 per hour. Well, like I've said previously, I am a product of public education, but I know that 140,000 per hour, it's a bigger number than 10,000 per hour. Therefore, I know that the view that you were getting in 1966 was a much more spectacular, lighted view than what you saw in 1833. Therefore, 1833 is no longer the greatest meteor shower, as Ellen White and others have said in Adventist literature. Sorry. But let's keep reading. Let's go to National Geographic. August 1982. What did they say about it on the morning of November 17, 1966? A record number of meteors hit the sky. A record number. That means 1833 is not a record number, but 1966 is. Here's the coup de grace. Guinness Book of World Records, 1978, page 69. The greatest meteor shower on record occurred when? November 16 and 17, 1966. So the author of this article, Angus McPhee, remember that name, you're going to see it again in a minute. He says what? He sums it up. Indeed, the meteor shower of 1966 was the greatest star shower in history. So what do Adventists do? Well, they wait like 5 or 6 Review and Herald magazines until we get to January of 1986 and they address it. And I love how they address it. It's just classic. So Lawrence Maxwell, I'm not even sure who that is, but statement that the 1833 shower was the greatest. So obviously he is, and I'm assuming he's an Adventist. So they're answering this person here. Well, this person, they're saying this person, Lawrence Maxwell's statement of the November 1833 was the greatest shower. That's correct. Not Angus McPhee's statement, which you just saw previously. So why does the Adventist say one's greater and one's not? I love this. Because here's why. Because they say for more than 100 years, our ministers and teachers have been quite wholeheartedly believed, and they've taught it. And Ellen White put it in her books. That's your answer. We've taught it for 100 years. Ellen White put it in her books. There it is, the Great Controversy, page 333, and that's why it's correct. They do not address, this is so Adventist. You don't address the facts. What are the facts? 10,000 meteors falling versus 140,000 meteors falling. They don't address the facts. It's just so Adventist. They say believe it because, well, we taught it and because Ellen White said so. Classic. Here's the other problem. Between pages 328 and 329 is this chart in the Great Controversy. And on their 70 weeks and 2300 day prophetic timeline, all these things. And here's the one, 1833, the stars fell. This is now a false prophetic timeline because the stars did not fall. Meteors are not stars. So you know what we have? We got this Temple-Tuttle comet. Been showing up every 33 years and showed up for every 33 years previous to 1833. Another thing we know, it is not the biggest meteor shower. Therefore, Adventism is wrong. The stars didn't fall. Meteors did. Therefore, Adventism is wrong. Look at Revelation 6:13 and with me again in the upper left-hand corner. The stars of the sky fell to the earth. You now know the difference between a star and a meteor. The stars didn't fall. Meteors fell. So you know what? That myth in Adventism is now busted. Gone. Ellen White is proven to be a false prophet. Yet once again. Read this with me here. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound doctrine, but having itching ears, accumulate for themselves teachers like Ellen White to suit their own passions. They're going to turn away from listening to the truth and wander off into myths. November of 1833 is a myth. Adventist, that means the supposedly, air quotes, God delivered great controversy is giving you myths, untruth, false teaching. It's time for you to leave the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Come to the real Jesus of the Bible. Start believing the Bible and the Bible alone. Ellen White is not a prophet. She is a proven false prophet.